We are live. Hello and welcome to The Lion Show. I'm your host, your favorite business coach, Robert Lyon. Today, we have the great pleasure of talking to Kirsten. She is a transformational coach, a hypnotherapist, and an author of an amazing book. So why don't you introduce yourself and kind of tell everybody who you are and what you're all about.
Hi, everyone, and thanks for having me here, Robert. I'm excited to be on your show. I love the name Lion. That's great. I am Kirsten Bloomquist. I am a clinical hypnotherapist and a transformational coach. I am also the author of the book, Power Now, The Art of Getting What You Want, How to Master Your Mind and Love Your Life. And I've worked with professional athletes, celebrity figures, politicians, and even the mega wealthy. So I love to tap into the power of the subconscious mind. And I like to say that I am teaching people human behavior and combining that with human potential. So I'm happy to be here.
That's so cool. So I guess I want to learn just more about what does Power Now mean, and kind of how did that become the title of your book?
Interestingly enough, I didn't choose that title, Power Now. Someone else came up with that, and I loved it because it's really about, this whole book is about finding your power in the toughest of times, because anyone can feel powerful when things are going good. That's not true power. Power is when things are going really bad, like, during the pandemic, people are stressed, there's uncertainty, all these challenging times. Your true power comes from finding your strength during those times, finding your courage, finding your ability to get through and to excel and to become victorious despite your external circumstances. So that's really what it is Power Now, is finding your power now in this moment and using that.
I love it. That's so wonderful. So how long have you been a transformational coach?
So coaching I've been doing for the last few years. And I started off by doing clinical hypnotherapy, and I've been doing that for 8.5 years.
Oh, wow. When did you kind of stumble upon hypnotherapy, or how did that story kind of begin?
So that happened probably around 9 years ago. I was depressed at the time. I had binge eating disorder and just really was not happy with life and feeling like there's got to be more to life than this. And I felt I wasn't in control of my mind anymore. And I was just looking for a solution, but I was the biggest skeptic. Didn't believe in anything like the law of attraction. Someone showed that to me, the secret. And I was like, thanks for wasting my time. This is bullshit. And so the power of the mind, I didn't believe in that either. I didn't believe we could change our destiny or anything like that. I was so close-minded, but I heard about hypnotherapy on the radio, and I decided, you know what? I'm just desperate. I want to get results. So I did a couple sessions and I saw there's potential to this. So I ended up signing up to go to school for it. And from day one, just fell in love with it. It was so amazing, so interesting. And I grew up Christian, where hypnosis was evil. So there's this part of it that's like, I needed to see for myself, is it really evil? What's behind that? And I started to practice on friends and family. And they were getting incredible results that it was so profound that I'm like, how could I not believe this? So, but the thing is, I was unable to get results. The instructor called me unhypnotizable. She couldn't help me get results, and I was really disappointed and so jealous seeing the people that I was working on, that they were getting these amazing results and changing their life. And yet nothing was happening for me. So it took me honestly like 4 years to really understand how to work with a challenging mind like myself. And then it just clicked, and I got incredible results. The binge eating stopped. I changed my personality. I changed so many things about myself. It was incredible. And now I know how to work with those type of people to really transform their lives as well.
Wow. Do you think it took you 4 years because you weren't ready? Like, I think that's kind of a big deal. Like, you have to be really ready to change in some cases. Or do you think it was just kind of, I don't know, you're super smart and anti-hypnotherapy? I don't know.
I think you are right on that. A lot of people, they say they want results, but they don't really want results. And that is where self-sabotage comes in. There's some sort of, I don't want to say like hidden agenda, but there's something conflicting in the mind. There's internal conflict, right? So until you remove that internal conflict, you're always going to hold yourself back and sabotage your results. And I think I had a lot of that happening for me. So there was just so many different layers. It was like an onion. I had to remove all those layers one at a time to really get to the core of the problem. And then once I got to that root and removed it, it was gone, and it just happened. It was so instant, so easy after that.
That's so cool. don't have to like share any names, but do you have any like success stories that have been really amazing that you would like to share?
Yeah, when I first started out, I was working with primarily health concerns, and people are coming to me with symptoms, and I made sure it was all diagnosed by a doctor, and they're continuing to see their doctor, of course. I believe in combining both, all realms of therapy is good. So people were coming to me, and one person had fibromyalgia for like 20 years. And he came to me, and in 2 sessions, all the symptoms disappeared. And he didn't believe it. The next day he came to me and he's like, everyone's telling me I'm younger looking and healthier looking. And, all the symptoms are gone for the first time in 20 years, but I feel like this is fake. It's not real. And he fought me on it. And then a couple months later, he contacted me and he apologized. And he said, you know what? I'm sorry. The symptoms are still gone. I've accepted this. I've had friends say, shame on you. Just accept that you're better now. And he became a big believer after that. It was really great. And then since working with health stuff, that I found that was draining to work with people who are ill, not something I'm passionate about. So I switched to personal development, and just like I said, I want to see what is our inner potential, what can we explore. So I've had a successful businessman come to me where his income had been plateaued at $300,000 a year for the past 20 years. And no matter what he did, he just couldn't get above that. And so he was kind of just frustrated with that. And so I worked with him, and a few months later, he reached out to me and said, hey, my income's on track to hit $1 million this year.
Wow.
So yeah, you just never know what you can achieve with your mind when you get out of your own way.
Yeah, that's so cool. So this is a naive question, but I mean, how are you hypnotizing? Are you like waving a little watch at them and quit smoking? Like, what does it actually kind of look like?
To be honest, so everyone has this in their mind, and what you're picturing when you hear the word hypnosis, you're picturing stage hypnosis. So right. That's for entertainment. That only works on 5% of the population who are that hypnotizable. And that will be a completely different level of hypnosis. What I'm doing is therapeutic. I've never used a pocket watch or angled anything like this, but I'm beginning to think I need one. Everyone, that's like the number one question I get asked. Do you have a pocket watch? No, I don't do any of that. And to be honest, when someone works with me, it's not about going into a deep trance at all. That's not really going to affect your level of results. The main thing is just getting your conscious mind out of the way, so you're in a relaxed state. And then when we're accessing the subconscious mind, all the answers are there. All the answers, like you become so clear on what's holding you back, what's the solution, what needs to happen. And it's really incredible to do that. It's really the art of getting you out of your own way.
Yeah, wow, that's so awesome. Well, tell us what you've learned basically studying the subconscious. That's what I'd like to learn a little bit about. Do you have any tips on that or how you see it?
Honestly, wow, yeah, that's a great question. So when I started to study hypnotherapy, we spent all this time learning about hypnosis and the mind. And then after I finished the program and I started practicing with clients, I have learned so much about the mind that I can understand people on such a deep level that when I have clients to come see me, they always accuse me of reading their minds, like I'm a mind reader. But the thing is I have no powers, no special abilities like this, just being honest. I just have a really deep understanding of the mind. So I can almost predict what people's thoughts are when they tell me a little bit of their problem or what they're going through, their goal. It's like it is almost I can read their mind, but really I just understand how the mind works.
I was gonna say, is it empathetic? Like, do you feel like their emotions, or is it more just understanding of the mind?
Both, I would say, but it's like it's taught me such a deep understanding of the subconscious and psychology. So human behavior, like I mentioned, why we are the way we are, and with the subconscious mind. Like if I were to ask you and you have a fear, let's say you have a fear of flying, and so I ask you, well, why do you think this started? Your conscious mind is going to say, well, there's this one plane ride that I was on, and I started to get scared. Then there was some turbulence, and then that's when my fear started. So consciously, that's what you think is the reason. Subconsciously, it's entirely something different that you wouldn't even be thinking of.
Okay.
It's something unconscious that's triggering the fear and projecting it into the fear of flying. So once you experience this, it's so unbelievable to see that the way we are, our actions, our fears, our characteristics, our skills, these are all triggered by something unconscious that has happened in our lives at some point in time. And it created an imprint, and that imprint now shapes our identity, and it shapes what we're going to get up to. It shapes our destiny. We can change that blueprint, but if we don't, it's almost predetermined the level of success we're going to achieve or the relationships we're in.
Wow. So, I mean, I'm sure not everybody, but most people had some sort of childhood trauma. Something went off the rails at some point. And do you really help a lot of people with that? Like, can you help erase it or mess with their subconscious so that they look at it in a better way? Or how does that look?
Yes. So when people work with me, there's a lot of people fear, what if we uncover some sort of trauma that I forgot about, and they get scared. Like, I don't want to remember if something terrible happened to me. But to be honest, when you look at the subconscious mind, there is some sort of trauma that shapes who we are, but that doesn't mean that it's something entirely traumatic. Think about it this way. When you are a little kid, you don't have a conscious mind yet. Your conscious mind is that analytical, rational part of the mind that adults have or should have, right? Yeah. As a child, they don't have that. They don't know that. That's why they're coloring on the walls with their crayons. They don't know, oh, wow, this cost a lot of money for my parents to repaint, right? They don't have that conscious mind in place. So when you are a little child, if let's say you drew a picture for your parents and you come home from school and you want to show them, but maybe your parents are really stressed. Their friend just died. They've got bills to pay. They got all this stuff. So you come up to show them your painting and they snap and they're like, no, not now. Get away from me. Right. Yeah. Or say something along the lines. That little child doesn't understand all these things that, no, your parents just stressed. They take it upon themselves and their mind creates a meaning and says, oh, I'm not worthy. I'm not good enough. I'm not important. My mom doesn't love me. So now you have this on an unconscious level, and that can play out in your career when there's an opportunity for a promotion and you don't go for it because you feel like you're not good enough. That's triggering in your mind. It's like, oh, I'm not good enough. Yeah.
So many people suffer from that. It's just, at least you're fighting the good fight to help them get out of it. Yeah, no, totally. It's such a big deal. So, how did the transformation coaching, is that just kind of like another avenue for you to help people and just kind of like break out and have one-on-one coaching with everybody? Do you still do hypnotherapy with them in the coaching too, or is it kind of separate businesses or separate things?
That's a great question. So what I've been doing is I just love all things about the subconscious mind and any way that I can help people get results. That's the main thing. If someone comes to me, it's like, I want to get results. That's my main priority. So I like transformational coaching because hypnotherapy sessions can be a little bit longer. And some people are just so afraid of it. So it's even though there's nothing to be afraid of. It's just that stigma of stage hypnosis has scared a lot of people. So when I figure, you know what, there's other tools that we can use to get great results as well, then it just helps to know all these different things. And I find that even after doing hypnotherapy sessions, if someone's had a problem for 20 years in their life, and then I take that problem away, what most people don't know is now actually I've created a new problem, because now that was that person's identity for 20 years. And the subconscious mind functions off of going back to what's familiar. What's familiar was that struggle. So when I remove that struggle away, now you don't have that familiarity. And this now creates a problem of, well, I don't know what to do with my life. I don't know what to do with myself. This is no longer here. It almost creates like an emptiness or a loneliness. And most people wouldn't think about this, right? They think about, how do I get rid of the problem? But they don't think about, well, what happens after the problem is gone. So that's where I found people need a little bit of coaching on, now it's time to succeed. Now it's time to move forward.
That's so awesome. Yeah, you kind of create like a vacuum. Yeah, that's just an interesting thing to think about. So I'm a big fan of like psycho-cybernetics. I think you read that book probably, but it's just about your self-identity. And it's just kind of how you see yourself. So how do you help people maybe like see themselves in a better light for more success or have the right mindset? How do you kind of help people transfer from maybe a closed mindset to a growth mindset? Or what is your thoughts on these things?
Yeah, I love that. So absolutely. Everything that I am doing is helping people to see themselves as the truth. When people come to me, their mind is stuck almost on repeat, and they're in a rut where they're seeing themselves as the lowest version of themselves, or they've attached all these labels that aren't even true. So people usually come to me and they're upset. They hate their lives or they hate themselves. They're just not happy, right? And my job is really to help remove those labels that other people have attached to them or they've attached to themselves, and help them to uncover all that. And when you remove all that, what's left? What's left is the truth. What's left is who you are. And it's amazing to see people stepping into that and owning it and feeling it. And when that clicks, they're a completely different person. It's like they are floating on clouds.
That's incredible. So I think some of the biggest problems that people have in life is like they carry around all this baggage of who they used to be or their traumas. And I guess you use hypnotherapy to help them like get rid of it. But how do you actually do that? How does somebody come up with like you said, you create a vacuum, but how do you shed the trauma or shed the stuff so that you can just go full force with success or with whatever you're trying to do? Do you have any tips on that or thoughts?
Yeah, so yes, absolutely. Here is a tip that I can give you that you can start to use today. This will save you a bunch of money. You don't have to see a hypnotherapist or coach. If you can master this one thing, you can really transform. You can go back. Have you seen the movie The Butterfly Effect? From ages ago, from
the first one, like Ashton Kutcher or whatever it is.
Ashton Kutcher, yes.
Yeah, that movie's creepy.
So, creepy, true, creepy. But so if we look at it in this sense where you can go back in time and you can alter a memory, right? You can alter the way, not really altering the memory, but you're altering the way you feel about the memory. And so when you change your thoughts, that's your conscious mind. That's 5% of your mind. When you change your feelings, that's your subconscious mind. That's 95% of your mind. So when you go back and you can change the way you feel about a memory, that's going to create a ripple effect moving forward. So that is like the butterfly effect, but in a positive way, not a creepy way. So if you can find, let's say that you have a memory, we all have a memory of someone picking on us or bullying us as we're a kid, right? We all have something like this. Every single person that I've spoken to. You can go back to that memory and you can change the way you feel about it. You can bring your logic and your rationale from now back into that memory, and you can find out, well, what was this here to teach me?
Right.
You ask yourself that and you come up with the solution, you come up with the lesson, and you change the way you feel about it. Oh, this taught me to stand up for myself. This taught me that there's people out there that hurt so bad that they have to hurt others. This taught me that it's not about me, it's about them, that they feel really horrible and that they think they can make themselves feel better by doing this, right? If you can go back and you can find some sort of lesson in that, then you can start to shift and create that ripple effect moving forward.
You just blew my mind. That's so cool. Yeah, so you're basically flipping all your life's traumas on its head and saying that I grew from this. This was something I had to go through to become the person I am now, or the person I'm going to be, or something like that. That's very powerful.
Absolutely. This will change everything. And then guess what, Robert? If you take that same lesson and you apply it to any sort of trauma you're going through now, let's use the pandemic, for example. This is just really shaking people up. People are, most people have never gone through anything super bad in their life, which is good. And this is the first time that they're realizing, oh my gosh, wait a minute, I can actually die, and life is short and fragile, and I can lose my job, and everything that I know can just disappear overnight, right? So this really shook people up pretty bad. So if you can take this same lesson that I just taught you of asking, well, what is this here to teach me? What can I learn from this? If you do that during a difficult time and you find a lesson, you find a skill, you find a strength, and you just remain a student of life, again, you are going to come out victorious. You're going to come out on top.
I'm just
because we know during this pandemic, we know there's going to be tons of millionaires created because of the pandemic. People who are not looking at this as, oh my gosh, this sucks, the world's ending, it's all doom and gloom, humanity is falling apart, right? There's going to be those people, they're going to stay stuck and they're going to be left behind. But the person who just is like, wait a minute, the world is changing. How can I change and grow and evolve because of this? How can I adapt? How can I become better because of this? Those people are going to come out on top. They're going to create new inventions. They're going to alter their services. They're going to adapt and grow and change. And there's going to be a lot of millionaires created because those people adapted.
Totally. I've actually had one of the best financial years of 2020 because I was ready for digital sales and things like that. But
Woo, good for you. Let's celebrate that.
Yeah. Pretty cool. Not to brag, everybody's struggling, but Yeah, now we just need people to stop watching the news, then they can
Right?
kind of get back to reality and flip it on their
You
head
are
and find the
right.
opportunity. So
Yes, Robert, that's what I tell people is, the main, the most contagious virus out there right now is the news. It's fear. They spread
yeah.
fear.
Well, the reason they do it is because we're more likely to watch something if it triggers us in a way. We're more likely to look at it because if it pisses us off, like all the algorithms are set up to show you something that you don't like because you're more likely to engage with something that you dislike than something that's like a good for you or something. I don't know.
True.
It's a whole mess.
And can I blow your mind even more on this?
Please.
So from my point of view as a clinical hypnotherapist with almost 9 years of experience, when you put someone into a state of trance, you can control them in a certain way, right? Now, here's the thing. What people are not aware of is that trance is a natural occurrence of your brain. So you are naturally in a state of trance all day. You just go into deeper levels and higher levels. It fluctuates like this. So what people do not know is there is something called waking hypnosis, where when you are watching TV, you go into a state of trance. Mm-hmm. When you are driving, have you ever driven anywhere and not paid attention, yet you still arrived to your destination? That's a state of trance. When you read a book and you get lost in the book and you forget about time, that's a state of trance. So even when you go see a doctor, you're in a state of waking hypnosis. So the easiest way to put someone into a state of hypnosis is to either use gossip or fear. Those two things. If someone says, hey, did you hear about what so-and-so did? Right away, any thought that you had is gone and you've got that curiosity. No, what happened, right? But if we say, oh, did you hear about that guy that got murdered and all these terrible things are happening? Again, you're like, what? All thoughts go out of your mind and you're focused on that. That's a state of waking hypnosis. So at risk of sounding like conspiracy theory, which I'm not trying to do, I'm just saying from my point of view, is that the easiest way, if you're wanting to control people, is to put them into a state of fear. And every single time you flip on the news, it's a state of fear. Bad things happening in the world. Look at what this happened. Look at all these negative things. Negative, negative, negative. And now it gets you into a state of fight or flight, which is waking hypnosis, where you're not going to be thinking for yourself because you're so stressed that you're going to be like, oh, please tell me what to do.
That is a very, very mind-blowing thing. Because then they'll tell you the narrative, essentially. They shock your system. They tell you the narrative. They tell you the story. Yeah.
Eventually you don't want to think for yourself anymore because you're just so scared. You're so overwhelmed that when they say, go do this, go do that, whatever, they tell you what to think. They tell you what to feel. They're telling you who to be, essentially. And then the commercials come on. Buy more. You need more. Yeah. You're not good enough.
Right. You're not in your frontal cortex. You're in your freak out. So you're like, oh, I'll buy it because they told me to. We're all sheep. We're all.
We are. We really are. That is one thing that I've noticed is people really would rather be told what to do than to think for themselves. It is a sad truth. This is why people need to wake up. Wake up. This is your life.
Right. And then we crap food. So we have inflammation of the brain, and then they have the narrative. They tell us what to do. Yeah. I'm all about freedom and just, helping all the listeners kind of succeed. Do you have any other tips that we haven't talked about, maybe to help the listeners find more success in their lives?
Yes. So again, I would say with that main lesson that I taught you is asking, what can I learn from this? The other thing that I would say is to really be mindful of your self-talk. What people are not aware of, when people are afraid of hypnosis or they're like, where do you get your powers or anything like this? I understand how words work. And there's the conscious mind and the subconscious mind. I could use the same words and both parts of the mind will understand that sentence differently. So when it comes to the power of the mind, you've got to consider the words that you're saying to yourself, that this is a form of self-hypnosis. So the words you're telling yourself is hypnotizing yourself. And if you're going to wake up in the morning and just be like, you know what, I'm not good enough. The world is a bad place. No one has money to pay me. This is really what you are directing the power, that 95% of your mind, you're directing that power and creating what's called the confirmation bias, that when you say there's not enough money in the world, your subconscious will say, yes, master, and it will look for all the reasons to agree with you. But if you flip that, you wake up in the morning and you say, there are people out there looking for my services. There are people out there who want to pay me handsomely for what I do. There are people out there that are so wealthy. Now your subconscious mind is going to start looking for all those reasons. It's the same thing. If you wake up in the morning and you say, I'm not good enough, your mind's going to find all the things that happened in the past to prove you right. But if you say, I am good enough, your mind's going to find the reasons for that as well. So you get to decide, what are you going to choose with your mind? Which direction, which path are you going to take? Both are your choice, just that one feels better. It's both the same amount of effort, by the way.
Yeah.
One feels better.
I need to listen to what you just said like every morning now. Brushing my teeth to that. That's like,
yes.
You can't hear that enough. It's so wonderful. Well, thank you so much for fighting the good fight and spreading the good word. It's so cool what you do. And I mean, I think helping people transform their lives is just such a powerful thing, as well as understanding how people like think, because I think most people don't necessarily know who they are. They don't necessarily know what the main success thing that they want is in life. And if you can help people untap that, or even just hear or talk more about that, I think it's just a great fight that you're doing, a great thing that you're doing, service, I guess. So
thank you. Yes.
Yeah.
You are right on that.
Yeah, for sure. What other mindset tips do you have potentially for the listeners?
Okay, so here is another powerful one. So keep in mind, when we talk about the mind, most people are using their conscious mind. That's the analytical part of the mind. That is roughly 5% of your mind. That other 95% of your mind, your subconscious mind, that is your emotions, your feelings, your intuition, your creativity. You know, when you're in the flow or in the zone, that's when you're in the subconscious mind. So another way to hone in on that power of the subconscious mind without having to learn how to meditate or how to become a guru of the mind. Another thing you can do is to tap into habits. Your habits are automations from the subconscious mind. All habits are in the subconscious mind. So if you can become a master of creating a positive, successful habit, you are automating your subconscious mind for success. So start small, start with one thing, change that one thing that you do every day, right? So creating that new habit, and now you're automating your subconscious mind for success. Healthy habit for success. And if you can just do one thing and repeat that every day until it becomes a habit, then you are automating your subconscious mind for success. So this is the most powerful thing that you can do, because once you create a strong habit, it happens without you having to consciously think about it, right? So that is something that you want to really tap into. You want to start to create a habit that when you wake up, now this is your natural tendency. So the thing about habits is most people give up in the beginning. So when it comes to New Year's resolutions, everyone sets a resolution, and then by the first or second week, probably 95% of people or more fail at that resolution. There's a couple reasons for that. It could be because you have internal conflict inside. You've got that self-sabotage that's holding you back. Or it could be because you set a goal, but you didn't create a strategy. You didn't make it a habit. You didn't make it a lifestyle change. So if you really want to succeed at something, start by doing something small and making it a habit every single day, and focus on the benefit that you get out of it. Most people focus on the pain that it causes, like, oh, how much time is it going to cost me to go to the gym, and I don't have time and I don't have energy. People focus on this, and your mind will easily find an excuse. But if you focus on the benefit, I feel great when I do this and I start my day with a win, and I get in shape, I feel amazing, my mindset is transforming, and it helps my business transform. Now you focus on the benefit, your mind is going to do it.
That's so awesome. And I think making a habit of having the success mindset that we talked about earlier is super important. I think that's a superpower.
You can change your mindset. I would say I'm naturally a negative thinker, which shocks most people. But over time, I have shifted my mind. So now I am a possibility thinker. I'm always seeing the silver lining. And I'm always asking myself, what is the advantage that could happen because of this? What can I learn from this? How can I grow from this? And when you do that too, you turn into a possibility thinker.
That's so awesome. I've just thank you so much for coming to the show. I got one more question, but before we get into that, why don't you tell everybody like the best ways to get in contact with you online and buy your book and things like that?
Yes, absolutely. So you can go to my website, www.feelingpowerful.com, and you can, I've got freebies there. So right now you'll see a freebie for it's a meditation for manifesting, for visualizing and manifesting. So that is my my freebie. It's an amazing thing that I just created. And also you can grab a copy of my book. So you can go there on my website, you'll find the link to you can get the audiobook or you can get the physical book mailed to you.
That's so cool. Well, actually, now I got two questions. I love that your website page says meditation. You mind just talking a little bit about not necessarily like, well, maybe how you meditate or what meditation means to you, and maybe motivate other people to meditate, because meditation has changed my life radically.
Yeah. And again, meditation is kind of tricky for a lot of people because they're going into it thinking, well, how do I get my mind to sit still? How do I turn my mind off? This is what people ask me a lot. How do I get it to just sit still and have zero thoughts? And to be honest, that can't happen. There's no such thing. Your mind is meant to function with thoughts. That's why even when you're sleeping, you have dreams. Your mind is always moving, right? So the intention of meditation is not to turn your mind off. That would mean you're dead, right? It's not to do that. When I teach people to sit in stillness, from my point of view, the intention of this is to get away from the world telling you who you are, who you should be, what to think. You're bombarded with all this, just constant stimulus and constant stress. And it's only going to add to the overwhelm and depression and frustration, right? So if you can sit in silence for even just 5 to 10 minutes, and you can focus on something positive, focus on a happy memory, and really focus on feeling that, you are going to feel incredible in just 5 minutes. And then now you've transformed your mindset that you're in. You're going from something negative and stressed and overwhelmed to something feeling happy and elated. So I would say if you're new to meditation, start by doing that, just 5 minutes, just breathing slowly and focusing on something you're grateful for. And you're going to notice that this feels amazing. And then if you want to take it to another level, what you can do is just observe your mind, see where it's going, what it's thinking about, and just you remain the observer as if this is an experiment and you're just seeing where is your mind taking you.
That's so neat. Well, I think I have to ask this because it's a selfish question. So when we're feeling, let's say gratitude, abundance or something like that, do you think that the holding in place of the feeling and the visualizing, do you think that's speaking to our subconscious somehow, and that's what's manifesting things into our lives? Or, I mean, it's very woo-woo, but I want to know your take on that.
Yeah. Oh, I am starting to get into manifesting big time. So the reason why most people fail at meditating and most people fail at manifesting and they don't get results is because you are doing it with your conscious mind. Again, that's the analytical, logical 5% of the mind. Of course, with 5% of the mind, like you can still do well with that. But if you really want to get these big results, you have to tap into that 95% of the mind. That is your intuition. That is your source of creation. So like I said, feelings, emotions, visualization, that is your subconscious mind. So the more you focus on creating these images in your mind and creating the feeling of it coming true, the feeling of it already happening, now that's what's really tapping into your subconscious power. And that's what is shifting your mind. So you need to have the feeling there if you want to be successful at it.
Right. So maybe the subconscious is connected to your feelings because, I mean, your feelings isn't like a logical thing. So that's a very interesting thing to think about, I guess. So yeah, my last question is I'm trying to help people get motivated to have a bigger life, to think bigger and do more with their lives. So do you have any tips on motivation?
Okay, so my view on motivation, Robert, I'm going to tell you, motivation is a myth. And when people are looking for motivation, what's happening is you're looking for something outside of yourself to make you feel motivated, to make you feel like you can do it. And that is why most people, a huge percentage of people, do not feel motivated, or when they do have motivation, it disappears, and then so do their actions, so do their habits, and then they don't get the results they want, right? If we look at the people who succeed, it really is 1%. So motivation is a myth because we're looking for something outside of ourselves. That's a default of the mind to look for a savior outside of ourselves. When in reality, if
you can completely beat motivation by instead creating a habit, which we spoke about earlier, and creating momentum. Momentum is 1,000 times more powerful than motivation. And when you do that, you're finding the source from within, and you're focusing on the reward. You're creating the habits to propel you forwards. Now you're tapped into momentum, and that is far more powerful. So surround yourself with positive things, your vision boards, your podcasts, the things that do inspire you, and then create the habit and the momentum to keep propelling you forward.
Wow, this has just been such an enlightening episode. I really appreciate you coming on. And it's
Thank
just
you
so
for
cool
having
to be able to talk to you about all this. And then I want to encourage all listeners, go buy her book, Power Now, and definitely check out her website and everything else. So thank you, everybody, for listening. Thank you so much for coming again. And until next time, bye.